Amazing. I want to capitalize on a discussion that the CEOs had recently about generations. Because I think our words matter, but they sound different generationally. And they show up different. And how we face this together as a movement will really tell the world and young girls what they have to face in the future together productively as they watch how you treat one another, as they watch the grace you give to one another and the compassion. That's the idea and understanding. And most of us feel like, but I don't have time. I mean, there are storms. We've got to work around these. Sometimes we have flight plans that we have to adjust. This was your strategy in 3D, that you have to adjust. Change will happen. Uncertainty abounds. It's volatile, it's uncertain, it's complex, it's ambiguous, this world we live in. Everywhere we see that. It's not new. Young people expect different dashboards. They expect different graphics and different technology. It's what makes their world work. My challenge was, working with them as a crew resource management instructor, was helping them understand if you keep your head down in the cockpit, you're going to miss what's going on. And in order to navigate, you have to have situational awareness. It's a real gift, and it embodies emotional intelligence. How do I communicate with you what I'm seeing? But what I want to introduce to you is how do you heighten your own self-awareness? Because sometimes you're not even aware of how you're showing up. And I like to ask people, every day ask yourself, would I want to work for me today? Would I? Because you see, we live in a world today where time is a currency. Nobody has enough of it. And the younger generation feels it probably more than we've ever felt it before. We do think young. The baby boomers across this room think young. Here's the challenge. How do you think young and think relevant? Because that's what you must be today, is a relevant young boomer. That's what's critical. That's what's hard. And check this out. Every day between now and 2030, every single day, a boomer's turning 65. And that feels so old. And yet this knowledge of the boomers is needed. It is so desperately needed to connect, to communicate, to share. But in order to be heard, you have to be relevant. It is so critical. And I want to talk about relevant because we're about to cross this, what I call Grand Canyon gap. It's a huge gap as we're about to go. Traditionalist boomers, boom, over here to Generation X. Think of a Gen Xer, you know, and let's talk about them just for a couple of minutes because they are the latchkey generation. They become very adult-like, very young. That's critical to understand. Boomers were allowed to enjoy their youth, to be kids, to become adults when they turned 18. Here's a generation that feels like they became adults at 11 and 12 as they're letting themselves in. Now, you fast forward those Gen X into an organization run by baby boomers who like to tell them what to do because they believe age and seniority highly correlates. And you've got Xers going, what? No. So I could line up a whole group of Gen Xers in this room and they can sing to you the preamble to the Constitution. Woo! And among you are some of the older millennials. But even they share the sentiments and understanding that there is an intense support around them from a young age that creates this understanding, whether it's parents, community, school, that they are the center of attention. They are the customer. They are liked. They are given a major dose of self-esteem. And why is it Gen X? Why is it boomers that we then call them the entitled generation, as though they don't deserve then our likes? Leading is ultimately what you're here for. You have to now go back after you spend a couple of days getting agreement around new, innovative strategies and ideas, and you've got to lead. And your purpose in leading is to bless this younger generation, to encourage them. That's what you're here for, is to create around you a group of voices that speak so others will listen, and listen so others will speak. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.